Listen, you weren't born lazy. You weren't born afraid. You weren't born average. Somewhere along the way, life programmed you to believe in limits that don't even belong to you. They came from parents who settled, teachers who doubted, friends who gave up. You've been running on an operating system that was never yours, and it's time to rewrite it. Because if you don't control your programming will control your potential. You say you love yourself, but do your actions prove it? Anybody can say, I love me, but love isn't words. It's action. It's what you do when nobody's watching. It's the choices you make when comfort whispers your name. Real self-love isn't pampering yourself every time life gets tough. It's pushing yourself to grow even when it hurts. Discipline is the truest form of self-respect because it shows that you value your potential enough to protect it. When you set an alarm and actually get up instead of day scrolling, you're saying, my dreams deserve effort. That's love. That's power. See, most people confuse self-love with self-comfort. They think taking it easy is being kind to themselves. But the truth is, comfort kills growth. The easy road is the one that keeps you trapped in the same place year after year. You got to be willing to feel uncomfortable if you want to evolve. Discipline is the voice inside that says, I'll do what's right for me, even if it's not easy for me. It's choosing the pain of progress over the pain of regret. It's the silent grind that nobody claps for, but everybody notices when it finally pays off. But there were days when I didn't want to get up. Days when I was tired, broke, frustrated, and wondering if any of it was even worth it. But I kept going. Not because I felt like it, but because I made a promise to myself. I refused to quit on me. That's what discipline looks like. It's not glamorous. It's not fun. It's not always inspiring. It's waking up with no applause, no validation, just commitment. And over time, that consistency turns into confidence. Start to trust yourself again. You start to feel proud when you look in the mirror, because you know you're doing the hard things others avoid. Man, when you live with discipline, you stop begging for respect from the world because you're already giving it to yourself. You stop chasing validation because you've already earned it in silence. Every rep in the gym, every late night study session, every temptation you resist, it's all you telling yourself, I'm worth the effort. That's not punishment. That's proof. Proof that you care about your life enough to invest in it. Proof that you're not waiting for motivation. You're moving with purpose. The grind is not something to fear. It's something to honor. Because every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're building a future version of yourself who will thank you. One day, you'll look back and realize that all those moments of sacrifice were the truest expressions of love you ever showed yourself. You'll see that discipline wasn't a restriction. It was freedom. Freedom from guilt, freedom from excuses, freedom from being average. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you're meant to become. And if you really love yourself, you'll cross that bridge every single day. You say you love yourself, but do your actions really prove it? It's easy to stand in front of a mirror and say, I love me, but love isn't found in words. It's found in discipline. Real love is when you care enough about your life to do what's necessary, even when you don't feel like it. It's when you stop letting emotions dictate your effort. It's when you say, I may be tired, I may be stressed, but I'm still going to show up for me. That's love in its rawest form. Discipline is not restriction, it's respect. It's the quiet way of saying, I'm worth the effort. Right? Most people say they love themselves, but they let habits destroy them. They hit snooze on their dreams. They procrastinate on their goals. They choose comfort over growth and then wonder why nothing changes. If you truly respected yourself, you wouldn't tolerate behaviors that hold you back. You wouldn't allow laziness, excuses, or fear to lead your life. You would protect your potential like something sacred. Discipline is the way you guard your greatness. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about doing what's right, not what's easy. There were times when I didn't feel like showing up, days when the world felt heavy and quitting seemed easier. But discipline taught me something powerful. It taught me that feelings are temporary, but results last. It taught me that every time I push through when I don't want to, I grow stronger. And that strength builds trust in myself. Because every time I keep a promise to me, I build confidence that no one can take away. When you start keeping those promises, your self-worth rises. You start believing that you can rely on you, and that's the foundation of real confidence. Ma'am, people think discipline is a prison, but it's actually freedom. Freedom from regret, freedom from chaos, freedom from wasted potential. When you live with discipline, you control your life instead of letting life control you. You stop reacting and start creating. You stop being driven by comfort and start being driven by purpose. And that's when everything begins to change. You wake up earlier, you focus deeper, you move differently because you know you're not living for today's pleasure. You're living for tomorrow's pride. And Genesis, you see, the grind isn't punishment. It's not something that takes away from your happiness. It's something that builds it. When you push through fatigue, when you say no to distractions, you're proving to yourself in your future. You're proving that you're not just talking about greatness, you're earning it. And that feeling, that quiet satisfaction of knowing you gave your best, that's something no one can give you and no one can take away. Raina, so the next time you say you love yourself, don't just say it, show it. Show it in your habits, in your discipline, in the way you chase your goals. Because love isn't how kind you speak to yourself. It's how hard you're willing to work for the version of you know you can become. Discipline is love in action. It's respect turned into routine. And when you live that way, you don't just talk about self-worth. You live it every single day. You say you love yourself, but love isn't proven in what you say. It's proven in what you do when no one's watching. Real self-love isn't just about affirmations or self-care days. It's about keeping the promises you make to yourself. It's what Nasteri in the boy. It's about saying, I'm not going to let myself down again. Because discipline at its core is how you show respect to your own soul. It's that quiet decision every morning when you could stay comfortable, but instead you choose to grow. You could scroll your phone, but instead you choose to work. You can make excuses, but instead you take responsibility. That's self-respect. That's what real love looks like. Ma'ams, the truth is you can't claim to love yourself if you keep betraying yourself. Every time you say you'll start tomorrow, but never do, you're breaking trust with the most important person that trust. The harder it becomes to believe in yourself. But when you start choosing discipline, you start rebuilding that relationship. You begin to see yourself as capable again. You start to realize that you're not your excuses, you're your effort. And that effort begins to rewrite the story you've been living under for too long. Man, there were days when I didn't want to get up, days when my body was exhausted. My mind was screaming to quit, and I questioned if the grind was even worth it. But what I learned is that discipline doesn't care about feelings. It's not about whether you want to do it. It's about doing it because it matters, because your future deserves more than your mood. Discipline is choosing progress over pleasure, choosing purpose over comfort, choosing to fight for yourself even when you're tired of fighting. And here's the beautiful thing. When you start living that way, something shifts inside you. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, think differently because you start to trust yourself. You start to believe that if you set a goal, you'll get it done. That confidence doesn't come from hype or motivation. It comes from consistency. It comes from doing the work again and again until it becomes who you are. You no longer need to convince yourself that you're valuable. You know you are because your actions prove it every single day. Man, the grind isn't punishment. It's proof that you care about your dreams, proof that you're willing to earn your blessings, proof that you won't sit back and let life pass you by. Every early morning, every late night, every small sacrifice adds up. And one day, you'll look back and realize the discipline that once felt heavy became the foundation of your freedom. So love yourself enough to stay consistent. Love yourself enough to show up when you don't feel like it. Because the real self-respect doesn't come from talking big. It comes from doing the hard things that make you proud to be you. You say you love yourself, but love is not something you speak. It's something you live. Real love doesn't hide behind excuses or comfort. It shows up in your effort, in your habits, in your discipline. Because discipline is the real proof that you care about your life. When you wake up early, even when your body wants to rest a little longer, You're telling yourself, my dreams matter. When you choose focus over distraction, you're saying, my time is valuable. When you push through pain instead of quitting, you're saying, I believe in what I'm becoming. That's not punishment. That's love in its purest form. Too many people talk about self-love, but confuse it with self-indulgence. They say, I deserve to rest. And yes, you do, but not when rest turns into running away from your responsibilities. Not when taking it easy becomes a habit of avoiding growth. Self-love isn't about doing what feels good in the mind. It's about doing what's good for your future. It's about looking at yourself and saying, I deserve better than my excuses. That's why discipline matters. It's the daily act of protecting your future from your feelings. There were seasons in my life when I didn't want to move. I felt drained, unmotivated, like the fire was gone. But I realized something powerful. You don't need to feel good to do good. The days you push yourself when you don't feel like it, that's where strength is built. That's where self-respect grows. Every time you show up tired, frustrated, or uncertain, you're building a version of yourself that refuses to break. And that's something no one can hand you. You earn that through repetition, through resilience, through quiet, consistent action. Discipline isn't glamorous. It's not about the big wins or the loud moments of success. It's in the small, unseen choices, the ones nobody claps for. It's in choosing to study instead of wasting time. To train when everyone else is resting. To say no when it would be easier to say yes. Those decisions shape your future. They build a foundation of pride and self-trust that no outside validation can replace. Because at the end of the day, it's not about proving anything to the world. It's about proving something to yourself. Vance, when you live with discipline, you stop needing motivation. You stop waiting for the perfect moment because you realize the perfect moment is now. Every step, every rep, every late night spent chasing your purpose is you saying, I respect myself enough to not settle. The grind isn't about suffering. It's about building. It's about showing yourself that you're capable of more than your mind once believed. And when you start living that way, something changes. You start walking with pride, not arrogance, but quiet confidence. Because you know you didn't just talk about loving yourself, you lived it. And that's the kind of self-respect that no one can ever take from you. You say you love yourself, but love without action is just noise. Real self-love is quiet, steady, and consistent. It's not about saying the right words. It's about living them. It's about showing up when you'd rather stay comfortable, pushing forward when it's easier to stop, and making choices that your future self will thank you for. Discipline is the real proof that you value yourself. It's not a restriction. It's freedom. Freedom from regret, freedom from excuses, freedom from being controlled by your emotions. When you practice discipline, you're not being hard on yourself. You're being honest with yourself. You're saying, I deserve better than the easy way out. You know, every time you wake up early, every time you push through when you're tired, you're building trust with yourself. That's the kind of trust no one can give you and no one can take away. It's sacred. Because when you can rely on yourself, life changes. You stop waiting for motivation to strike. You stop waiting for someone to believe in you. You start becoming the person who makes things happen regardless of how you feel. That's what real self-respect looks like. It's not loud. It's not flashy. It's quiet commitment. It's you versus you every single day. Yeah, there were times in my life when I didn't want to do it anymore. Days when I questioned if all the effort was even worth it. But discipline taught me something feelings never could. It taught me that I don't need to feel good to do good. I just need to move. I just need to act. Because action builds momentum and momentum builds belief. And once belief is built through effort, you become unstoppable. You stop negotiating with your goals. You stop making excuses and you start keeping promises you once broke. That's when your confidence shifts. That's when your energy changes. The grind isn't punishment. It's preparation. It's you saying, I'm willing to earn what I want. The work doesn't just change your results. It changes. You relat it. It reshapes your mindset, your habits, your standards. And that's what people miss. Discipline isn't about not forcing yourself. It's about freeing yourself from weakness, from doubt, from the old version of you that used to settle. Every time you choose to work instead of waste time, every time you say no to distraction, every time you keep your focus, you're proving that you value your own potential. You can't claim to love yourself if you keep letting yourself down. You can't say you want greatness and still live like you're average. Self-respect doesn't come from comfort. It comes from commitment. It's when you decide that the vision inside of you is worth every sacrifice. And that's the truth about discipline. It's not the enemy of freedom. It's the foundation of it. The moment you start living discipline, you stop being controlled by your feelings and start being guided by your purpose. That's when everything changes. That's when love turns into power. You say you love yourself, but love isn't a word. It's a behavior. It's not about how gently you talk to yourself when things go wrong. It's about how strongly you stand for yourself when life tests you. Real self-love doesn't mean doing what feels good. It means doing what's right for you, even when it's hard. Discipline is the highest expression of that love. It's not about forcing yourself. It's about honoring yourself. When you choose to stay focused instead of distracted, when you wake up early to chase your goals, when you decide to keep moving forward, even though no one is clapping for you, that's you showing yourself respect. That's you saying, I'm worth this effort. Man, there were seasons in my life when I didn't feel like moving, when everything in me wanted to rest, quit, or delay. I told myself I'll do it tomorrow, but tomorrow turned into another week, and weeks turned into wasted time. And one day, I had to face the truth. It wasn't life holding me back. It was me. It was my lack of discipline. It was me breaking promises to myself and calling it self-care. I realized that real self-care wasn't taking breaks from the grind. It was staying committed to the grind. Because discipline is what keeps you grounded when motivation disappears. It's what separates the ones who talk from the ones who transform. Man, you can't say you love yourself and still keep living in ways that destroy your potential. You can't call it self-respect while constantly choosing comfort over growth. The things that make you stronger won't always feel good. Waking up early won't always feel good. Saying no to distractions won't always feel good. But those choices shape your character. They build your backbone. They teach you to trust yourself in a world where it's so easy to give up. Discipline builds a quiet kind of confidence, the kind that doesn't need to be shouted. It's the peace that comes from knowing you're doing your best, even when nobody sees it. Bang, discipline is love with action behind it. It's love that doesn't quit when things get uncomfortable. It's love that says, I'm not going to let my emotions decide my destiny. And the more you live that way, the more you start to feel free, because discipline isn't a cage. It's the key. It unlocks the version of you that's been buried under laziness, fear, and excuses. It teaches you to respect your time, your energy, your goals. It reminds you that your life is too valuable to be wasted on things that don't build you. So stop saying you love yourself if your actions don't show it. Start proving it. Start living it. Love yourself enough to do the hard things. Love yourself enough to stay consistent. Love yourself enough to choose discipline every single day. Because at the end of the day, discipline isn't the punishment. It's the proof. Proof that you believe in your future. Proof that you value your purpose. And proof that you truly, deeply respect yourself. So from this moment on, stop talking about what you're going to do and start doing it. Let your actions speak louder than your words. Let your consistency be your confidence. Because when you master discipline, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, there's nothing in this world that can stop you.